Sit down there and you call us up.
I did want to do that. I wish you were closer. Ready to go? Well, it just seems like people are still struggling.
This is like, don't get worried about them.
Would you like to sit up here?
I'm happy to sit down there.
Excuse me.
Go for it.
Yep.
Good morning. My name is John DeGrieve. I am the treasurer of this congregation, a member of the Board of Trustees, and chairman of the Religious Services team. I'd like to welcome you here this morning. Unitarian Universalism encourages an open-end search for meaning in life and a commitment to asking our values to shape our actions. We are a pluralistic religion that draws wisdom from many sources. We welcome all people in our beloved community of whatever age, race, ethnicity, physical ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious background. We welcome especially those worshiping with us for the first time. Guests are welcome to participate in any of our activities. Welcome team members are wearing green name tags and are ready to answer any questions you may have. If you are a visitor or new to this congregation, pastoral team members are wearing yellow name tags and are able to talk with you if you have a life transition or need of assistance. We invite everyone to join us downstairs after the service for coffee and snacks so that we can get to know you better. So thank you for being here this morning. Now, as Darcy did last week, I'm the treasurer. I wanted to point out that this week I put up on the bulletin board out in the foyer this report, which is our monthly financial summary as far as our checking account, our deposits and our credits, and what our balance is to that and our reserve account and the building loan. So each month I will update that so you'll know where we are. If you look at this month's checking account, we spent more than we brought in, which is not a good way to do business. I also want to point out that September 30th was the end of our first quarter of our fiscal year, which starts July 1st. And I would like to remind everyone that the pledges that they made in the spring help us project our operating budget for the year. It is important that the contributions of those pledges continue throughout the year, so don't hold back until June. We need them to come in along the way so that we can meet our monthly operating expenses. And this is just a gentle reminder to review your pledge obligations and contributions. I would like to share with you a poem this morning, if I can find it in my pile. It's a story that you may have heard before. It's a story of 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did anybody could have done. So where are you in that pile? The story may be confusing, but the message is clear. We need everybody to chip in with their time, their talents, and their money for this congregation to thrive. Now, since the building, if you have noticed, has been painted the last 2 weeks, we have noticed that the building is receiving a very much needed coat of paint, a renewal. It's something that has been avoided and not done for over 10 years. So Builder Sales and Service Company, BSSC in Moline, along with a small number of hardy UU volunteers, have made this possible. I invite any of the volunteers that have worked the last 2 weeks to please stand up and be recognized. We still need a few brave souls for next week to complete the task. Please see Anne Marie Toady there, or my wife Jan DeGrieve during coffee hour if you are available to volunteer. If you are also moved in any way to help offset the costs of this much needed project, please send your donations to the office and mark it for the painting project. Together, we can revitalize this building and this congregation if everybody will do it. Thank you. You're on.
We always like to do the good news first. Thank you, John. I'd like to ask anybody who has a spotlight for this week to come up and share their spotlight with us.
Good morning, I'm Lucia Alman, and I am going to tell you about an internationally known group, and they're going to be here next Sunday. Doors open, 4:30. Polyrhythms is held the third Sunday of each month, and they are going to be performing here. How well known are these folks? They performed at Barack Obama's inauguration. So they are really, really good. Doors open 4:30. You can get a glass of wine. Music starts at 5. It's a jazz trio. Please come. That's number one. I'm turning around. Somebody last week left an insulin, one of the insulin shots, and we've refrigerated it. So if you left your insulin here last week, please see Brian Tufty, or you can see me, and we'll get it to you. Thanks.
Good morning. I am Gail Springer. I am chair of the Earth-Based Traditions Group, and I'm here to remind you that Witches Ball is coming up on the 21st. If you've never been to Witches Ball, it is so much fun. We have music, we have dancing, we have food, and I need your help with the food. That's why I'm up here. I need desserts, cookies, pies, whatever you want to donate to help us offset the cost of the food. It is a fundraiser for the church. I will be downstairs after church if you have any questions. I'm not going to turn around, and I'm going to stop right now.
Well, I'm Cathy Weideman. I'm a member of the Religious Services team, and I will be leading the service today. A few weeks ago, while I was walking out the door of our church, I ran into Mike and Dee Lazio. As a casual, off-the-cuff question, I asked Mike where they were going next, expecting something like mow the lawn or stop at Hy-Vee, which is what I usually do when I leave here. But Mike said they were on the way to the service at the Catholic Church. And that statement was more than just a Christian influence, but revealed that he actively participated in another congregation. And this led me to question and explore more deeply one of our UU sources. Now, we all know that Unitarian Universalism has its historic roots in Christianity, and we have drawn from many sources to develop our traditions and our spiritual practices. We find in our 8 principles our moral guides and values. These principles have been drawn from our 6 sources. These sources include the awareness of mystery and wonder of life, science, poetry, personal experience, and wisdom from the world's religions' teachings. It is this last source that we will be exploring today. We will be hearing from 3 of our members, Mike Lazio, Tony Singh, and Joyce Singh, who enrich their spiritual lives by incorporating the practices of Catholicism, Sikhism, and engaged Buddhism into their spiritual lives, including regular attendance at other places of worship. I'd like you to now join me in lighting the chalice. Oh, sorry. Well, let's do the prelude first before we do that. Sorry. Oh, thank you, Jara. You may have noticed that Gates isn't here today, and we are lucky that we've arranged for Jarrah Williams to be our pianist today. And everything that he will be playing today individually are his own compositions. Now is the time to light the chalice. If you will say together with me the chalice lighting. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that we love, not fear, can change the world. And our opening song will be 349, if you would stand. And you can remain standing afterwards as we'll greet each other. Okay, if you would like to meet together, and are we okay? In this spirit, would you please sit while we share our message for all ages?
If the children like to come forward and take a seat, or not, it's fine. Hey, good seeing you. Okay, we're calling it. So, welcome back to another wonderful day. Now, as you heard, they said that up here they're going to talk about a couple different religions. I was given this wonderful book called The Coconut Monk by Thich Nhat Hanh. I hope I didn't butcher that. And it is a beautiful story that I think you guys are going to enjoy. So we're going to read that real quick. There once was a monk who lived in a small island in Vietnam. He spent his time sitting in a coconut tree, eating coconuts, and so the people called him the coconut monk. The coconut monk had two good friends, a cat and a mouse, and every day they would climb up the coconut tree and play together. Cat and a mouse being friends? Have you heard of this? Does it have a friend mouse? A big fluffy one that murders mouses. Okay. I think this is slightly different, but we'll continue reading and we'll see. Each coconut monk enjoyed sitting high in the tree with his friends. He would watch the boats going by on the Mekong Delta and listen to the birds sing. The coconut monk lived in a time when Vietnam was at war. All the fighting made him very sad. And one day, he went out walking. And while he walked, he collected bits of metal, pieces of bombs, and bullets that littered the land. He melted all the pieces together and turned them into a beautiful bell. He told the pieces of metal, "You have been playing the game of war. Now you can help create peace." And every night before going to sleep, he would strike the bell. Its music echoed out into the night sky. The coconut monk decided that he was going to go ask the president to stop the war. He didn't have any belongings, so packing was very easy. And he just climbed down the tree, and he was ready to go. Man, if going was that easy. But the coconut monk did not go alone. His two friends, the cat and the mouse, came along to keep him company, or as a snack in some cats' cases. They traveled for many days and nights. Even though the road was rough and the journey was long, they stopped often to notice the beauty all around them. At night, the monk slept leaning against a tree, and the cat and the mouse slept together in a basket. They did. That's what the story says. Sometimes it was rainy and cold, and the friends huddled together, and other times it was warm, and they played in the sunshine. Finally, they reached the presidential palace, a huge white building surrounded by guards, and the guards would not let them in. What are they going to do now? I don't know. We'll find out. What can you, a simple monk, have to say to the president? They demanded. And the coconut monk held up the basket with the cat and the mouse playing happily together. "Well, I would like all people to live together in peace," he said. "Surely the way my friends, the cat and the mouse, do, surely our differences are no bigger than theirs." We'll talk about that downstairs. When the guards heard this, they became angry. "You fool," they shouted, and grabbed the monk, and they threw him into prison. And because the cat and the mouse wouldn't leave their friend, the guards had to throw them in prison too. That's what's sweet. The prison was dark and cold, but the coconut monk sat very quietly and continued to breathe peacefully, just as he had done in his coconut tree. The coconut monk shared his food with the cat and the mouse and all the other prisoners. And even though there wasn't much food, the cat did not eat the mouse. People started asking about the coconut monk, and they wrote letters and visited him in prison. Soon, the guards had no choice but to release him. The monk, the cat, and the mouse returned to their coconut tree. If the cat and mouse can live together in peace, don't you think humans can too? What a fun story about unity. This guy was thrown in prison for what? Just asking for peace. Has that happened before? Yeah. Sometimes that happens. But should we stop asking for it? No. we shouldn't. We should always be willing to stand up for what's right. And if we have people to show us the way, like cats and mice, some cats and mice, then I think we can do it, right? Be the bigger person. Excellent. Let's go downstairs and we'll talk about a few other things.
Please join us in singing the children out. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Thank you. A cappella. That was very nice. And thank you, Jerry. Our first reflection today will be from Joyce Singh. She has been engaged in engaged Buddhism for many years and has led Buddhist conferences and regularly helped people through guided meditation. And she will be our first speaker.
Good morning. I am very grateful to the UU congregation and to all of you and for making a safe space for sharing. And we're all on our journey, supporting each other, moving in the direction of understanding and compassion and life being here. And this is not a by chance thing. There are many conditions that bring us here today. So I would encourage you to just take a minute, and you can call out if you wish. What is one of the conditions that brings you here today? What is a condition of joy that brings you here today? Acceptance. Possibility. Inspiration. Community. How about a car? How about your feet or your wheelchair? All of these modes of transportation that bring us here. How about your ancestors? Oh, we don't even know all the causes and conditions that have brought us here. But there's a meditation that I found really powerful when my mother passed, and I was practicing this tradition, and I was looking at my hand. Actually, it became looking at my feet because my feet are very much like my mother's. But Thich Nhat Hanh, and Thich Nhat Hanh is my teacher, when his mother passed, he said, look at your hand. And I would encourage you to look at your hand. Look at this hand. Eons have brought you here to this moment. And in this hand, as an example of meditation, are all of your ancestors. Remove any one. This hand's not here. Not only blood ancestors, but the earth, the plants. We eat, brings us nourishment, it produces these cells. So we give gratitude to not only our blood ancestors, but the plant ancestors, about the animal ancestors. In time, we know the evolving to where we are at this point. Many animals, plants, and minerals. Remove the animal from you. You can't be here. Even your ancestors, the food, and there was a dependence on animals for food that allowed them to live at a point in time where food was hard to get. Remove the mineral from you. The minerals are also our ancestors. We know without certain minerals, our body cannot function. remove the salt, remove the oxygen. Can you be here? No, these are our ancestors we enter our with. So all of the causes and conditions, and they're innumerable, some we know, some we don't know, bring us here at this moment, and that is a miracle. So realization of our being here now, in this point in time, is what my understanding of karma is. We've inherited a lot, but at this point in time, in an awareness, we have a potential for caring for the past, caring for our ancestors, transforming the pain, and really being grateful and joyful in this moment for all of the miracles that bring us here. And I'm in the company of multitudes, and I'm in the company of multitudes. This is powerful. So that's part of my meditation. I was going to read, and this is quite funny, and life is serendipitous, so this is a poem that came to me about my journey, and I looked it up. This is by Thich Nhat Hanh. And I am going to do what everyone else has done. The poem is called Going in Circles. I don't know how this stuff happens, but it makes me happy. And this is a conversation of self with self. My understanding, my reading of it. Oh, you who are going in circles, please stop. What are you doing it for? Answer. I cannot be without going because I don't know where to go. That's why I go in circles. Oh, you who are going in circles, please stop. But if I stop going, I will stop being. Oh, my friend who is going in circles, you are not one with this crazy business of going in circles. You may enjoy going, but not going in circles. Where can I go? Go where you can find your beloved. Go where you can find yourself. That has been my journey of coming back. There's a mantra, the way out is in. And for me, it has been a journey that was not instilled in me. My search as a child had been placed on me of always, you need to look outside of yourself. You will find the answer outside of yourself. Salvation is somewhere else. Kingdom of God is somewhere else. And you're not good enough is a message that was very much in my psyche, and probably for a long time. I surely saw it in my father's psyche too when I reflected back on it. So I was raised in the tradition of Christianity, and my mother was a beautiful practitioner of Christianity, and her smile was lovely, and her softness and caring, compassion was very deep. I learned a lot from my mother. And my father was an agnostic, but very honest in saying, I don't know. One of his sayings was always, oh, there's a simple answer, and it's wrong. He had many sayings like that. But in my tradition, I practice engaged Buddhism in the tradition of Plum Village. My teacher was Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. We have a practice of bells of mindfulness, and anything can be a bell of mindfulness. You know the sound of the bell? Anything can be a bell of mindfulness, and that's the moment where you come back to the present and you wake up. It's like, whoa. There were several points of bells of mindfulness within my life experience. I very much practiced in the tradition in which I was raised, Christianity, and one of the churches, and it was beautiful as a child. It was very joyful, and just the teachings of Christ are amazing. I connected with that. But as I got older, there were other notions, ideas, ideologies that were imposed on me. One was not good enough. I accepted that until the point that my father had cancer, and my father, who was the agnostic, was dying. And I remember the minister coming to our house and saying, "Jack, it doesn't matter how you lived your life, you're going to hell." For me, and that's just the way it was in that tradition, in that church, that particular church. For me, it stopped me. That was a bell of mindfulness, because it did matter how my father lived his life. It mattered so much to me that my father loved my mother. It mattered so much to me that my father was honest, that he was funny, that he spent time with family, that he took the time to work hard to support his children, 5 girls. He always told my mom, "I'll raise the boys, you can raise the girls," as a joke. It did matter, and I knew it mattered. And that was a wake-up call. And over time, I've been able to look at this and understand the suffering that's all around in that notion. And it wasn't any one person, but being in a notion, an idea, mind state of division, separation. So I can express a gratitude for that wake-up bell. When I started practicing this tradition of engaged Buddhism, there is a mantra that is beautiful, and it's, "Are you sure?" That definitely arose in me. "Are you sure?" Is a great mantra to stop yourself instead of accepting or participating in an action or a notion that can be harmful. 2 other teachings arose, and I learned later. Let me find it, that have really helped me. They're the 5 mindfulness trainings and the 14. These all have the teachings of the Buddha, of the 4 Noble Truths of suffering, causes of suffering, well-being, and a path toward well-being. So the Noble Eightfold Path is a direction toward well-being. Don't get stuck on this, and I think this is something beautiful too, because there's a saying in Buddhism of teaching of a master with a hand pointing toward the moon and saying, "This is the direction." But another one came and said, "Oh, this is it," and became focused on the finger instead of the direction, the words, the finger, instead of the direction, and then never saw the moon nor the finger. This is a letting go. So these are trainings, these are practices, they're directions, and I love that openness. The first 3 of the 14 I wanted to read. In that moment when my father was passing, and what I knew, what was arising in me, were actually part of these practices I saw later. The first, openness, aware of the suffering created by fanaticism and intolerance. We are determined not to be idolatrous about or bound to any doctrine, theory, or ideology, even Buddhist ones. We are committed to seeing the Buddhist teachings as guiding means that help us develop our understanding and compassion. The second is non-attachment to views. Insight is revealed through the practice of compassionate listening, deep looking, and letting go of notions, rather than through the accumulation of intellectual knowledge. Truth is found in life. And we will observe life within and around us in every moment, ready to learn throughout our life. So I could see in my father's life truth. So that was a second mindfulness bell. And I'm sharing with you as I go different teachings that have really resonated with me. The third mindfulness bell was, well, let me come back. After that, I also let go. This was the process of not necessarily searching for anything, because I didn't even know what I was searching for. It was more a matter of letting go, emptying, and I'm still in this process. I came to the point of, I'm going to let go of what I've been taught and see what life teaches. And either it will inform and strengthen what I've learned, or I will learn something different. And I remember that point of letting go very clearly. I was in my bedroom, and it was very sad because I was letting go of who I thought I was. And that's not easy. It's like being on a prep, it's like, oh, this is who I am. Then all of a sudden, I don't know. The third wake-up bell involved self-care. I was under the impression that to be a good person, and this is partially true, we all hold partial truths, I needed to care for everyone and not be selfish or not. Anyway, I didn't see myself in the process. And I gave all of my energy to raising my family. My father-in-law lived with us for 14 years, and I saw him going through dementia, and I had to be there. My mother was going into Parkinson's, so I had to be there. And my sister-in-law and her family were coming from Pakistan and immigrating here, and I had to be there. I lost myself in that. I really had a breakdown. There was a mindfulness spell from a loved one who said, I can't help you. And that was the truth. I decided to live. I decided I want to live, and I decided to help myself. I felt it was kind of selfish, but I began to help myself. That sounds like good. Okay, thank you. I'm going to end there. So I started self-care. I want to say in closing that there is much, I'm sharing with you the suffering. In the suffering is the joy, because through this practice I have found great joy and peace. And I wish I could have simplified this for you. It's not simple, it's complicated, and it's life, and life is amazing. I'm going to end there. Thank you.
Joyce, that was beautiful. It clearly came from the heart, and I so appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you.
Good morning. I am Susan Perry, a member of the Pastoral Care Associates Ministry team. In this time of sharing, we take a moment to recognize our personal joys and sorrows, and to read from the book of Joys and Sorrows those personal life events you have chosen to share with us. We have, I love the word plethora, a plethora of joys today, and a few sorrows. Zachary, and I think it's Baraglia, received, and I think it's an unofficial job offer from the Plymouth County Museum for the position of administrator. So that's good. Marcy has put, my youngest grandchild, David Jr., turned 2 this week, and also Dan is skydiving again, we hope, today. Linda Goff stated that Katie had her first child born September 8th, Iris Roselle. So that's nice. And there's many about the painting. Lucia Amen wrote, it's a joy to drive up the hill and see our newly painted building. Thank you to all who scraped and painted. Especially thank you to Darcy Anderson, Steve Burke, Anne Marie Toady, and Jan DeGrieve, who worked here every day. And then Jan DeGrieve wrote, since we had a service about creativity last Sunday, I thought we should recognize Emily Smith's lifetime of playing the viola for so many years with the Quad City Symphony, as well as being a master gardener. Thank you, Emily. Jan also wrote, let's congratulate and send best wishes to Anne Marie and Daryl Toady as they celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary, September 29th. And anonymous is a special thank you to all the volunteers that painted our, quote, treehouse, unquote, this past week. You are the best. Anne Marie wrote a huge thank you to John Halliday and Mike Lazio and Melanie Landa for all the painting on ladders this past week. Then there are a couple of sorrows. Marcy asked us to keep her family in our thoughts because there's been much drama. And Linda Goff did lose her longtime partner, Bill Spain, this week from complications of diabetes. Are there any online joys and sorrows? I guess we'll assume not. Oh, there is. Okay. It's a big day for... Mm-hmm. For what has been shared and what remains in the quiet sanctuary of our hearts, we are grateful. Let us become aware of the energy that brings us together in beloved community as we share a time of silent meditation. May we open our minds and hearts to a place of quiet, to a silent prayer for the healing of pain and the comfort of love. You are invited to come forward and light a candle during the musical meditation.
Our next reflection will be from Tony Singh, who will talk about Sikhism. He not only is a member of our church, but a member of the local Buddhist or Sikh temple. Thank you.
Thanks, Cathy. Okay, I've never been here before at this podium, so it's good to see you all from here. So yeah, I'm Tony Singh, Joyce's husband. So in our home there is a multitude of thoughts and practices that we do. I came to this church about 37 years ago. So Cathy asked me to talk a little bit about my spiritual journey. But my spiritual journey goes back to my ancestors, as Joyce mentioned. So I just look at it. My forefather, my parents were, great-grandparents were Sikh. Sikh is a religion that started in India in 1400s. It's the 5th largest religion in the world, with about 25 million to 30 million adherents all over the world, mostly in the Punjab area of India. Punjab means, Pun means 5, Ab means water. It's Persian and Arabic. And it's the land of 5 rivers. It is the Midwest of India. It's the breadbasket of India. So that's why when I get on a tractor, I just feel the greatest joy. And I have about 5 tractors. So it's in my DNA, as Joyce mentioned. So these are agrarian people. Usually you see them, they're mostly tall. I'm kind of short, but and there's a story behind it. If you see them, the visible sign is you'll see them wearing a turban. Usually it's a very colorful turban. It's a different turban that the people wear in the Islamic part of the world. Sikh's turban is very vibrant, and they like to eat all kinds of meat, drink, party. They're very fun people. Well, once you go to the Gurdwara, which is their religious temple, there is one right on 53rd. I don't know if you've ever been to the North High School on 53rd. If you go a little bit further, I would say away from where Menards used to be, it's on the left-hand side, you'll see it. So, but in the Gurdwara, in the temple, they don't eat meat, they don't drink, they don't do all the other things that they do outside. So it's a religion that really allows you to party, and very amazing in practice. But the 3 tenets of Sikhism are, first is equality, second is seeking justice, which actually is the most important one, and the third is service. So my journey started towards Unitarianism started just quickly from in 1800s, late 1800s. My ancestors who were Sikhs, they were poor. There was a famine in India because of colonialism. They were having a hard time. So the missionaries came. First, there's the colonial British power, a lot of subjugation of people, and then the missionaries came and they did a lot of good things. But it was created, this famine was created in that time in India, and my grandfather was a little boy, and he, with my great-grandmother, had to migrate, leave the village, the Sikh village, and were traveling, and they were taken away up by the missionaries. Converted them to Christianity, gave them food and water, and my name now is Tony Romeo Singh. So not only they gave me food and water, but they also changed my software. So I end up reading Mark, Matthew, Luke for over, I was born in 1961. So almost 50 years later, I was a Christian. My father was a Christian. After I came here, I'm just going to, because of the sake of time, I'll be brief. I met a Unitarian, a Jew who was a Unitarian. His family escaped Latvia, Lithuania in 1800s too. They came here in the United States, And I met him, which is a story in itself, and he introduced me to Unitarianism in Virginia. He was here 36 years ago, right here, when Joyce and I were married, and he was our stand-in father for the wedding. So I got my Unitarianism through a Jew. So Judaism brought me here, Christianity brought me here, Sikhism with those basic three tenets of service and seeking justice and equality were the main tenets of the religion that my ancestors were at. I've got still about 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. Should I take those? Sure. Okay, good. So that said, Sikhism is a tremendous religion. Right after this service, not always, but I go there because their service starts around 12 o'clock or so. Actually, service starts it's all around food. Sikhs love food. So if you go to any of the Sikh temple, you will have to eat there after the service. And that's part of the equality. Because in India, there was a caste system. Sikhism is a combination of Sufi Islam and Hinduism. Hinduism is very hierarchical, and it's the oldest religion. Those caste system, Guru Nanak, who was the guy who started this religion, born in 1469, he said, no, everyone is equal. So Hindus would not let the shadow of even the lower class fall on them. But Guru Nanak said, no, you have to eat together. How can you eat together and not have the shadow fall on you? Equality. Second part of that is all men will have a last name Singh. I'm a Singh. Singh means what does Singh means in Sanskrit? Lion. A lion. All men are lion because you could tell the name of a caste by the last name. Equality. All women have a last name what in Sikhism? Joyce? Kaur, which means a princess. Revolutionary guy. In that tradition, he said, no, equality. You have to eat together, equality. You have to have the same last name. Service, seva, is a big tenet of Sikhism. That's, also came from my travel through Christianity I'm a Beatitude Christian. I'm not a Ten Commandment Christian. I love them. That's what I say. I just enjoy that. So I think that whole area of service, to serve one another, is very basic tenet of Sikhism. So a lot of giving, a lot of good work happens. But then comes this other part of it. If you look at the Sikh symbol, it has 2 swords and a spear. Very loving religion, equality, service, but then fight for justice. I have 25 seconds left. So the justice part is that they fight for justice. So if you go to a Sikh temple, there is a yellow flag. It's called Nishan Sahib. It's a Nishan, which is a sign, and it has got that symbol. The flag has 2 swords and a spear in it. And anyone can come there, no matter who you are, and you'll be protected. Even if you have committed a heinous crime, you will be protected. So what happened was, if you look at India, India is like this. On top is the Central Asian republics, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, and that's where the Muslims came. And if you look at the bottom of India was mostly Buddhist and then Hindu. If you now go to India, the southern India has all its temples left. Hindus are still in India. Pakistan converted to Islam. Afghanistan is Islam. If it was not for the Sikhs who are right in the middle of the Punjab, all of India today would be Muslim. Sikhs fought. They are fierce warriors, and they will pick up sword when need to be, and they protected the Hindus from the Islamic invaders. And today, the Sikhs are fighting for the Kashmiris in India, who are Muslims, from the Hindu fanatical government right now, in my opinion, from the Hindus. So they always have fought for this principle of justice. So I think that's the tradition. I had 8 minutes to do that, so and I think my time is now over. So Cathy, I'm done.
Thank you, Tony. Well, I like the tradition of eating afterwards, and we will do that in just a few minutes. If we can hold on, we have to collect your money first. You can't leave here without collecting money. So this congregation is supported by pledges, and that's what we're going to do now. And if you would like to go with the offertory. And please come and they'll be around to collect your offering. That was beautiful, Jara. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next reflection will be from Mike Lazio, a member of our congregation and also a member of the Catholic Church.
I know we've all been sitting a while, so if you want to stand up, I think stretch your legs, you're welcome to do that. But I think the mind can absorb only as much as the butt can endure. So to understand my connection to Catholicism and my journey to the UU, it helps to know a little bit about my family. Like Tony and Joyce, Cathy said, ancestors. All four of my grandparents were Sicilian. My maternal grandmother, who lived with us as her husband died at an early age, was the last to immigrate. Thus, I grew up in a Catholic and very cultural Sicilian family. We practiced the 4 F's, as I call them: food, faith, family, and faith. For those of you who are Catholic, Christmas, Easter, and many other religious holidays were celebrated as a high mass, all sung with many rituals and processions. The Catholic Church is steeped in patriarchy, hierarchy. I went to St. Matthias Elementary School, which was only a block away from my home, and we found things very easy at school. I did anyway. I attended Mass 6 days a week. As a kid, we didn't play cops and robbers or Indians and cowboys, but instead school and Mass. I was enamored with this Catholic tradition. Tradition, think of that. I loved it, and I loved school, and I loved Mass. It formulated much of my childhood and my adolescent years. So Catholicism, what is it, you ask? If the people upstairs would like to play the video, I'd appreciate it. Tradition. Can you turn it up just a tad?
That's it.
So tradition. School brought a lot of terrific experiences to me. At Hayes High School, Catholic of course, and taught by 2 orders of nuns and a couple of priests, I had 2 long-term relationships my junior and senior years until my graduation, when my non-Catholic girlfriend broke up with me. I was devastated, of course. The priesthood seed had been planted in my youth, so I began to contemplate becoming a priest and gave much thought to it. I had already enrolled at UNI my freshman year and worked on my brother-in-law's farm throughout my college summers. We worked 14 to 16 hours a day. I was still uncertain what to do for a career, and in my discernment, I prayed nightly for a sign to help guide me. What should I do with my life? Tradition. There was something definitive indicating that I should be a priest. I wrestled with that all summer. My heart was on fire until August 28th, a few days before my freshman year at college was to commence. I seemed burdened by this persistent thought. I was trying to assemble the jigsaw puzzle of life without all the pieces, it seemed. I sought a significant sign to help guide me. My brother-in-law had built a new house, and the crew was finishing the basement with a process called torgonal, a poured floor. A 3-man crew was applying this and the technique in the basement, and I vividly recall that August 28th day as we were choring, and seldom, in fact, never stopped to ask my sister to accompany us. But for whatever reason, I know now it was divine intervention, my brother-in-law asked Tony and their infant child to chore with us. We were about a quarter of a mile down the road on a tractor when their house exploded. The fumes ignited from the pilot light on the furnace. I saw 2 men die from the burns as a result, and I knew this was the definitive sign I was looking for. So my sophomore year, I transferred and entered the seminary at St. Ambrose. I returned to UNI my junior and senior years because I learned that the priesthood was not my desire, but perhaps an obligatory answer to my prayers. A couple of years later, I met Dee, who was raised as a Missouri Synod. Once our planned children arrived, we felt it was best if we practiced the same religion as a family. Dee decided to convert to Catholicism, and for 28 years we attended Our Lady of Victory Church. After viewing the Spotlight film about priest sexual abuse in Boston, she left the church and Catholicism and searched until she felt comfortable with it and discovered this congregation. Yet I am somewhat surprised how predominant Catholicism has remained with me. Tradition. It seems my spiritual home. I still like the many rituals, the customs it practices. It allows me to reflect upon a simpler time in my life when the world seemed less complex. Time to stop and smell the roses, perhaps. I always thought that I was a progressive person, but with this tradition, it seems like it's influenced me. I may be a bit old-fashioned, but I like the familiarity of the Catholic music, even the Gregorian chants, the Christmas carols, and the Easter joyful songs. It enhances my belief in who and what are important in life. I retreat to the quiet chambers of its beliefs to measure the value of my soul. It gives meaning to the sacred times. It allows me to reminisce in my youthful and family history. It seems to help me find some meaning and purpose in life. I believe in God, a higher power, who created all of us. Still, tradition. I don't know what that means, but Catholicism has a fascination or influence over me. I find comfort in it. Like they say on Sirius Radio, if you're uneasy with the 21st century, return to the 1950s. So Dee sacrificed for 28 years to become Catholic. I decided to accompany Dee to join the UU, and we started attending, and in February of this 2016 we joined. We have been delighted by this congregation's service, its music, its principles, and the people we've met here. UUs are not pretentious. They live their beliefs. I recall Catherine and Lawrence Allen having a debate whether they should fly or drive their Prius to Arizona one year. They were playing mental gymnastics over which would leave the least carbon footprint. Well, I've observed our car parking lot has many Priuses in it. We have met many wonderful people here and made good friends. UUs like intellectual stimulation, and we've had many conversations about social justice issues. I've been on the Healthy Congregation Committee, and the members are so committed to the principles and correct word personship. Dee and I love the music in this church that is always coordinated so well with the order of service. The sincerity of this congregation with different background enriches our diversity. The freshness of its services focusing on current events, how they impact our lives, and how to practice what we believe. I like the UU and principles, especially a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We feel fortunate that UU has entered our lives and broadened our horizons. It is a breath of fresh air with an open window on life. Still, I like many of the Catholic traditions and reminisce on them often. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. And as I close, I'd like you to listen to a song which many of you are familiar with as we sung it here. It's a good representation of what I think my life has been.
When I was a boy each week, Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word, and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow, daily on the differences. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses spread the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small. Even better magic trick. Said anything is here at all. So challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, to find where there isn't one. Holy water wasn't rare at best. Barely went my fingertips, and now I have to hold my breath. Like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven circling rain pound me down. But I'm walking with the river there, 'cause everything is holy now. Questioning Child's face, say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament. Together that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. made me wanna bow my head. I remember when church lit out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second rate hand me down. But I walk it with the reverend hair, 'cause everything is holy now.
I don't think there's a more perfect way to end the service than with that song. So we are going to skip the closing hymn. I want to thank our speakers today. I think it happened just as I hoped it would, that we've heard how other people can not only practice their own religion, but feel comfortable by coming here. And I think that's the most important thing. I think that they had several similarities. There was family, there was faith, and there was food. And so I hope we'll see you. You still have time to join us for our meeting afterwards downstairs. I would like to end with some closing words. Let's extinguish our chalice first. If you will join me in the chalice closing.
Extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
My closing words are from a humanist prayer by Danny Bears. And I want to again reiterate that we all share, Catholic, Sikh, Buddhists, and UUs, a love and respect for our natural world. And so this is the humanist poem. Thanks to life. When we wend our way through wind-waved wheat to where any road may footpath meet, where long-lost lives have set their feet, give thanks to life for man's history. And where forests shade us tree by tree, carpets of flowers all creatures see and hear birdsong in collective glee, giving thanks to life for its mystery. And as we walk beyond the wood to dwellings where tall trees once stood, constructed for the common good, give thanks to the life we're sharing. For none of this world belongs to man. We use what exists as best we can and pretend to progress according to plan, giving thanks to life that's caring. By what means do we possess anything? The dead with them can nothing bring, even they who would be queen or king. Give thanks to life, though they perish. When we leave this world, they only leave behind the thoughts they've shared with another mind, which the dead unto the living bind, giving thanks to a life they cherish. Let's live our lives to their fullest extent, that they may never be uselessly spent, amassing things which are only lent. Give thanks for life to the giving, the beings that we live among, in which we all are harmed when one does wrong, are the community to which we can all belong by giving thanks for life to the living. And now we'll have the postlude.